Hey, you got time for a beer? I know I do. Welcome to my show. I'm Jake. It's not Thursday. You can find me at tubajake_69 at Untapped, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Tell me your stories. I like to hear them. I had a lot of messages from people being like, hey, I love that beer, which is awesome. I love it when you love the beer. Or, hey, that beer is not as good as you said it is. Which, I mean, that's fair, but also it depends upon where you're coming from, because sometimes these beers they bring up memories that you don't even remember you had when you had them. Like that one that I had last. What was that? The one lager that's not really a lager. Well, I mean it is a lager, but not really. Yeah. So anyway, this week we got Turbodog by Abita. Abita does a lot of good stuff. So Turbodog, 5.6% ABV. It's a brown. Turbodog is a dark brown ale brewed with pale caramel and chocolate malts and Willamette hops. This combination gives the brew its rich body and color and a sweet chocolate toffee-like flavor. What I do know is that Willamette is an old school, super United States hop, but also like old school super United States hop, like from up north and east kind of thing. Willamette hops is one of those ones that's been around for a really long time. And Turbodog has also been around for a really long time. So what I'm expecting from this is brown and 5.6%. I'm expecting it to not be as heavy as what I remember it being. It's going to be harder for you to tell because it's in this opaque glass. I got this one from Abita Brewing Company, and I thought it was neat, so I got it out today. The head on this looks awesome. I don't know for sure. Well, I'm positive that it doesn't have a widget in it, so it's not nitro. But it's a very thick head on here. I don't know if it's like deep thick, but like the bubbles are small, so it looks thick. Let's see. Trying to remember Turbodog for sure. Usually when I've had this, I've had like 4 other beers before it, because it always looks like I'm not gonna like it. I don't know why, because I think it's richer. I think there's more alcohol in it than there really actually is. 5.6 is not a lot. The heads is not as thick as I thought it was. I did definitely get some beer in that pull. It's brown. I can taste that. It's really weird. Oh no, wait, there's more of that brown, the deep, dark flavor that you get from a brown at the back of your throat. That's there. But I'm not getting, it's not heavily hopped, which is great. I like that. I keep thinking I'm getting some flavor that's overthrowing all of the rest of the flavors that are in this beer. I'm just not getting, like, there's that deep flavor that's in the back of my throat, and there's not much else other than that right now. I thought it was from the cup at first, like it's plastic, so I'm not getting what I should be getting. It's sweet, like it's brown. Bitter, like it's brown. The hops don't stand out. I mean, I drink a bunch of these. This is a very sessionable beer. Turbodog, for sure. I drink this all the time. To drink it, like this is a great beer to have after like say something like 7.2, like a Two-Hearted. You can have this one after a Two-Hearted. Actually, I know for sure that there was one that I had this after, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But it was like a wrought iron, I want to say. Which was another one that was kind of like this, but with a deeper flavor and more hops in it. The wrought iron referring to, well, because Abita is from Louisiana. Abita Springs, I do believe, is what I read on here. Abita Springs, Louisiana. And that's why I picked up this beer, because I was like, wow, this reminds me of when I went down to Louisiana every time to visit my sister. Because I went down there at least twice. And it was a blast down there. We went to when we were in Lake Charles, we went to a few different places. I think probably the best story from that is when we went to the diner after going out to we went to the Hut, which is where my sister worked. There were a bunch of people that she worked with that worked at the Hut. She worked at the Hut as obviously she worked there as a bartender, waitress kind of thing. But then also there were a bunch of people that she worked with at the university that also worked at the Hut because they were college students going for their master's degrees, and the Hut gave them a great place to hang out. Actually, that's where she met her husband. Aw, isn't that cute? But it was a great place to hang out. Lots of beer, and they had really good daiquiris there. They had the out the window daiquiris, because you can do that in Louisiana. You just have to cover up the hole for the straw with a piece of tape, and you can serve them right out of the window, which was kind of awesome. While you're down there, if you're down there, check that out because it's pretty cool. And then buckets of beer. Mostly, the weird thing is mostly we had Coors Light, I think, while we were down there, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with Coors Light. But also, when we'd go back to our apartment, we'd get good beer, Abita, mostly because, Louisiana. With the Purple Haze, and you get the pack, because a Turbodog comes in that, and the Purple Haze, and whatever the wrought iron one was, and there's one with an alligator on it, I think. And they're all good beers. This tastes good. It's just not special. Like, it doesn't taste like this is exactly how this is supposed to taste. I mean, it might be. I'm just not getting the brown all the way up from the back of my throat like I thought I would. I mean, it could also be that I had like 6 other beers today. Yeah, 6 other beers today that I'm not getting the flavor on that, because I had the day off and it was amazing. Got to play some disc golf because it was pretty warm. A hoodie and jeans, muck boots, because the place that I'm playing is wet, because it's wet around here. But I didn't get to the best part of the story. So the best part of the story is when I was down there, we went to the Hut, and then I think we went to Cowboys, but we didn't stay there long, like a beer or two, because my sister's afraid because I was down there with my brother, and she was afraid we were going to get into a fight if we went to Cowboys. Because, it was spring break, and that point in time, and we were Northerners, and we were in a very Southern bar, and we were Northerners. Not that we couldn't handle ourselves, because we probably could, but she also didn't want us to get into any fights. So we had like a drink at Cowboys, and then we left to the diner, which was awesome. This is where the story kicks in. So, go to sit down. We sit down. They hand us menus and stuff, and I'm a little drunk. And so I ask, hey, do you have tomato juice? To which the waitress says, No, we don't have tomato juice. What kind of place does this look like? And I looked around for a couple of seconds and I was like, well, I thought it looked like the kind of place that would have tomato juice, but that's cool. Can I have a Dr. Pepper? And she laughed at me hard. Because, well, I mean, it did. I mean, most diners in the North have tomato juice, which is a great thing to have if you're drunk or going to be hungover, or hungover for that matter. So I got my Dr. Pepper and actually, I think it was a Coke for real, because it's also a good idea to have a little bit of caffeine with your obvious in the morning hangover. A little caffeine in there, and it makes it less. But yeah, the best part was that the tomato juice comment that I made, because it made a lot of people laugh. Like, it wasn't just like the waitress and my sister and my brother that laughed at me. It was like 3 or 4 different tables around the bar, or around the diner, that were laughing at me, because it was pretty funny. Because I needed to go to the bathroom, so I went to the bathroom just after. I was like, thought it looked like the kind of place that had tomato juice. But the omelet was good. It was a good night. I think shortly after that, I left to go back up to Michigan with my grandpa. The NCAA wrestling tournament was going on, and there were like 7 different dudes from Davison wrestling for different schools. It was kind of cool. He was super happy about that. Well, kind of super happy about that, because he lived just down the road from Davison and Goodrich. And he kind of knew most of the guys that they were talking about. I was like, Grandpa, look, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy all went to Davison. He was like, I know where Davison is. And he's right. He did know where Davison was. And the coach that was at Davison also coached at Goodrich before he went to Davison, but they wouldn't let him do the things he wanted to do at Goodrich that they would let him do at Davison. So he left. Well, that's all my beer. So we'll get to this, hopefully, for sure. I got a quote for you. This one comes from Simone Biles. She's little and bendy, gymnast, if you will. She says, make sure you always have fun. If you're having fun, that's when the best memories are built. And, well, I mean, I agree with her. I was having a super blast, because how many times do you get to talk about iambic pentameter when you are 3 sheets to the wind? Yeah. So, catch up with me next time. You can find me on Untapped, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram, all at tubajake_69. I'll see you next time, when you got time for a beer.